Hey Book Dragons, I'm so glad you joined me today. The topic of today's video is the top 10 most popular books on my Goodreads TBR. And this was pretty interesting to see some of the books that I'd put on my TBR that are the most popular. Some of them made sense, and some of them I was actually kind of surprised about. So we're going to get right to this. I hope you really enjoy this video, and I'm looking forward to making the video. Now, I do want to let you know that the way I did this is I did it by the total amount of ratings. And Ari's licking my finger. I have no idea why. What do you taste on my finger? Anyway, I did it by the total number of ranks on Goodreads. I didn't do it by 3 stars, 4 stars, anything like that. Just the total number of rankings. And I'll tell you where it ranks on the list. And we're going to go from 10 to 1. So the most popular book on my Goodreads TBR will end up in the number 1 spot. So I hope you're as excited as I am. And I'm going to put my eyes on because I want to make sure I get the list right. I do want to start off with an honorable mention. This series popped up several times in the most popular list. And I didn't want to make a video only talking about that series. So I'm just going to make it an honorable mention, okay? And that is the Percy Jackson series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians by Rick Riordan. And I am not surprised at all to see this on the list as many times as it was. Most of the books in this series were listed with 1 million ranks or more. And there were several of the books in the top 10. So I just didn't want to spend all my time talking about the series. But I know it's well beloved. My kids loved it. They read it 2 or 3 times. I read the first book twice. The second book once. I have not finished the series. I need to get back and do it. But yes, this is the honorable mention for this video. Okay? And coming in at number 10, with 912,000 ratings on Goodreads, we have The Princess Bride by William Goldman. I was actually surprised this one did not come in higher on the list. Number 10 is still great, right? But I was actually kind of surprised that this did not come in higher. I'm a huge fan of the movie. I have seen the movie who knows how many times. An inconceivable amount of times. But I have not read the book. I've heard the book is good, but maybe not as good as the movie. But some people like it better. So it's hard to say. I've not read it myself. I will one day. It's definitely on my list. I own a physical copy, of course. So that comes in at number 10. The next book on this list is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. And that comes in at 938,000 ratings on Goodreads. This is one of the books that is on my intimidating list. It's a big, chunky book. I've had it on my list for a long time. Everybody says you need to read it, and I just haven't yet. I probably will one day. But it comes in at number 9 on this list. The next book on this list, coming in at number 8, is Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. And that comes in at 981,000 ratings on Goodreads. I was actually surprised that this one was not higher on the list. I was not surprised to see it on there. I knew it was really popular, but I'm surprised to see it as low as it was. And that's a book that I've wanted to read for a long time. I've only read one book by Michael Crichton, but I quite enjoyed his writing style. And I've seen Jurassic Park numerous times. I've seen most of the other movies except the more recent ones. And so I do really want to read Jurassic Park at some point and see what I think of it. But for right now, it's on my to-be-read list. So the next book on this list is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. That comes in at number 7. And Lucy Foley is an author that I have heard of. She comes highly recommended for people who like thrillers and mysteries. So I definitely want to check out her books. In fact, I think I might have the guest list on my Kindle. I think. I'm not positive on that. You know what? Let's check. We're going to check. You're here with me. We're just going to check and see. Lucy Foley. Oh, no, I guess I don't. Okay, it's not on my Kindle. But I know that it's a book that I've been wanting to read. And it comes in at 1 million ratings. Just a little over 1 million ratings on Goodreads. Very popular. I know Lucy Foley is popular in general, so I'm really excited to try out her books and see what she's like. Coming in at number 6 is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And this comes in at 1.1 million ratings on Goodreads. V.E. Schwab is a super popular author. I've enjoyed several of her books. I have not read Addie LaRue, but of course it is on my TBR, and I'm going to get to it eventually. I want to read everything that V.E. Schwab has written, I think. So eventually it will come down to it, but that is number 6 on this list. Coming in at number 5, we have Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. And this comes in at 1.3 million ratings. And I was honestly a little bit surprised that this was as high as it was. Not that it's a bad book. I haven't read it. My youngest child has read it and absolutely loved it. We watched the movie together. I absolutely loved the movie. Of course, I have heard that the movie is different than the book. So we have to take it with a grain of salt until I've actually read the book. But yeah, 1.3 million ratings. That's pretty impressive. So not that Goodreads is the final decision maker, right? Goodreads has its issues, but that's a lot of ratings. Coming in at number 4, that is Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. And that has 1.4 million ratings on Goodreads. And I was not surprised to see this on the list, guys. This is one of the most popular books by one of the most popular authors out there. And I know Vonnegut's well loved by many. I have good friends that love Vonnegut. So yeah, I'm not surprised. And I will get to this eventually. I do own this one on my Kindle. I know that for sure. So when I get around to it, I will be reading Slaughterhouse-Five. It's one of the books that I hear everyone should start with when reading Kurt Vonnegut. And that's what I need because I've never read a Kurt Vonnegut book before. So there we go. Coming in at number 3. We're in the top 3, guys. Number 3 is The Shining by Stephen King. 1.5 million ratings. I'm surprised it wasn't higher. And I am going to be reading this in October, guys. Spoiler for my monthly update, just putting that out there. I'm going to be reading The Shining in Spooky Month. I can't wait. I'm really excited to give that book a try. And I've never seen the movie, so I will be watching the movie after I read the book and see what that's like as well. So, yes, I'm very excited to see what The Shining has to offer and see if I like it or not. I've often said Stephen King is hit or miss for me, but I have a pretty good feeling about The Shining. So, there we go. The next one on this list, coming in at number 2, is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. And guys, this is a Gothic classic. And I've heard it called a romance/revenge story. I've even heard it compared to Game of Thrones a little bit with all the divisions between the two families in the story. So I don't know what to think. I don't know if I'll even like it, if it's really for me at all. But I've heard a lot of people say that it's one of those that you really need to read. And I may give it a try at some point. I may just decide, I'm going to read a classic, and it's going to be Wuthering Heights. but I don't know. It comes in with 1.8 million ratings on Goodreads. So I guess it's pretty popular, right? And the last book on this list, guys. The last book coming in at 4.7 million ratings on Goodreads. I was like, dang, that's a lot of ratings. And again, not going by stars or anything like that, just the amount of ratings it got. That is 1984 by George Orwell. And I was not surprised to see this on the list. I actually wasn't surprised to see it come in as high as it did. That's a lot of ratings, guys. I know 1984 is well loved. I do know the story because I saw the movie. The movie was okay. It was a pretty good movie as I remember. It's been years since I've watched it. Yeah, I'm very curious to read the book at some point. I don't know when I'm going to get around to it, but eventually I will be reading 1984. And I'm rather disappointed in myself that I haven't read it before now, because it's one of those books that a lot of people have to read in school, right? It's one of those hit list books on teachers' lists, the books you have to hit in your lifetime. So I will get to it eventually, and I'm really excited to see what George Orwell is like. I may read Animal Farm at some point as well, but that's not as high on my list. It's not even on my Goodreads TBR as of yet, because I don't know if I'm going to like George Orwell, and 1984 is always the one that's most requested, it seems like. So there we go, guys. What do you think? These are the top 10 books on my Goodreads TBR, the top 10 most popular. And I would love to hear from you in the comments below what you think of my list. Tell me what some of your top 10 most popular books are on Goodreads. And until next time, make sure you read more books. I'll talk to you soon. And I'd like to take this opportunity to shout out my patrons. I really appreciate all you do. Your support means the world to me.